Good morning, Patreon fam. Joey Burger here. I wanted to shoot a little video and tell you guys about a consult I went out on last week. Fun little day trip out to a buddy of mine's. His name's Alec. I've known Alec for about 25 years. Alec came to Heartwood when I was 15. He was 20 and came there to learn massage, and then soon realized that he was in the middle of a big cannabis growing community. This was Humboldt County in the 90s. Try to find a better place to post up and tell you this story. Yeah, Alec quickly got into the neighborhood, started growing cannabis, working for friends of mine, and soon had his own farms. And I ran into Alec a couple years ago at the Science of Regen conference. So I knew he was getting into more regenerative practices with his cultivation, and yeah, so he called me up. He said he needed some help. He's been no-till the last couple of years. He's still spending a lot of money on resources, growing organically from the grow store, and he wanted to learn some few tips and tricks. He wanted to learn how to make his own inputs, and so I've got a 6-hour day that I like to do out at people's farms when I go out there to do these natural farming consults. In about 6 hours, we can make 3 really key Jadam inputs. And we've also got some time to walk around and talk Hoogles, look at all your other resources, talk about whatever your issues are. So last week I had a real nice 6-hour day visit with Alec. He doesn't live, his farm's not too far from Heartwood, so that was nice. Beautiful piece of property. He's been there for 18 years. He's got about 13,000 square feet of licensed cultivation there. Some outdoor, some mixed light, some depth. And yeah, he took me in his little nutrient shed, and it was like going in a grow store. He had so much product in there, and it's easy to see where all his money is being spent. So first thing we do is we start making Jadam herbal solution. This is your pesticide, and this is also your fungicide. We walked around and identified some plants. He had the bay laurel trees there, also known as the pepperwood, really common tree that we all have here in Northern California for the most part. If you've got riparian areas, that bay laurel is usually found there. I'm just looking around right now trying to see if I see any here. We've got a bunch, but it's all down closer to the creek. Actually, that's one right there, that green tree. Getting a little bit of rain right now. I'm down here at Tamara's in Lake County at Heal Thyself Gardens. So yeah, I like to start with the Jadam herbal solution because it takes 5 hours to make. So we start making our pesticides. We talk about the different plants we can use as fungicides as well as pesticides. We deal with a lot of powdery mildew out here in the cannabis. Then we made Jadam herbal solution. We taught him how to make, build the microbial life, build up the biological life in his soil. That's the difference between dead dirt and living soil. Is a lot of biological life in there. So we taught him how to make that, taught him how to make crop-specific JMS with his cannabis leaves. And then we got into making Jadam liquid fertilizers. We walked around his garden and identified a lot of the plants that he had there that would be useful. He had a lot of thistles, milk thistle, Italian thistle. These are high in silica. These are really high in nitrogen. These are dynamic accumulator plants, have a deep taproot. He had thistle growing all over his gardens, so we identified that. Made some liquid fertilizers out of that. He had a lot of mullein growing there, which is really common out here in Northern California. Wherever we've got disturbed, compacted soils. Got puppy freaking out over here. She wants to go inside. It's a little cold today. Wherever we've got hard, compacted soils, we've got that mullein growing. Here I've got some. You can see some growing on this Hoogle right here in Tamara's front yard. Those big leaves right behind that aloe there. That's your mullein plant. It makes a big tall flower. Excellent herbal, but an amazing dynamic accumulator plant. Really deep taproot that can pull up hard drills and nutrients from out of the soil. Yeah, so we made some great fertilizers. He also had tons of nettle, stinging nettle. He actually had 2 different kinds of stinging nettle growing there. mallow growing there, lots of blackberry bushes. You know, when you're growing cannabis and you're using Jadam techniques, your base fertilizer is all going to be made out of cannabis. So that's easy for him to do. And then we just identified a bunch of other plants there that he could be using. He had a lot of ferns on his property. He had mistletoe on his property. So a lot of these Humboldt, Northern California, Mendocino farms are all going to have the similar plants. So I kind of know what I'm getting into when I head out there. The other big thing we talked about, he had some very nice raised beds, but he had a lot of plants in smart pots still. And when you're growing in smart pots, you're using a lot of water, you're using a lot of fertilizer. Those root balls dry out really quick. The biology dies really easily. It's hard to keep a good living soil that's going to produce when you're in a smart pot. So we talked about building hugels. He's got thick woods, tons of wood resources. We identified, he had 3 separate garden spaces there. We identified where we could build some hugels in those garden spaces with the materials that are already there. And then we could grow more pollinators, more companion plants. More of the plants will be fermenting. So it was a wonderful visit out to Alex. He's got a really beautiful farm. It was fun to teach him a few new tricks, help him recognize some of the allies he had growing right there. He was feeling very empowered by the end of the day, feeling like he's going to be able to cut those bills way down and survive another year. Market has just crashed up here in Northern California in the rec market, and all these farmers are struggling. Taxes are high. It's just it's a failing industry right now. So farmers are scrambling. I was really proud of Alec, you know, a grower for 25 years, was able to humble himself and realize he's got to learn some new tricks. And I really admire that, because these are the people that are going to survive, that are realizing the way that, you know, we had it really easy for a lot of years when prices were high. You could spend tons of money growing that herb. It didn't matter how much money you threw at it. You'd still make a profit. And that's just not the case anymore. So big ups to all the natural farmers. I hope you guys are making plans for your gardens for the coming year, thinking about how you can conserve resources, how you can close loops, how you can recognize these plant allies that are all around you right now on your land and make the best use of them. So get your Jadam books, study up on those this winter, get to know your plants, get to know your plant allies. And if you're ready for some help from me, give me a call. I do a lot of these consults over the phone, over Zoom. We can do a lot of work just over the phone. So much love, y'all. We'll catch up soon. Peace.